Assalamu alaikum, Hamid Khan Almashriqi with Kham Ki Baat. Today I'm going to talk about the current situation of the region, what exactly is going on in the region, especially in terms of India's aggression and India's possibility and probability of doing any kind of false flag operation, or whatever their media is saying that they might be doing a surgical strike, which has been pointed out by the Prime Minister of Pakistan and Foreign Minister Shahid Qureshi as well, that India is planning to conduct a kind of a false flag operation to have a reasoning for going for kind of a war with Pakistan. The situation is very critical and it's very serious at the moment, and Pakistan is trying to wake up the world and tell the world that this is what's going on, and world needs to understand that the situation is very critical along Pakistan-India borders and line of control and working boundary as well. When we talk about the situation, and if we look into the entire scenario since 2018, August 2018, and then since the elections happened, and then since they have revoked the Article 370A in Kashmir, in Indian occupied Kashmir, Prime Minister Modi is clearly taking very rational, aggressive steps against Kashmiris, minorities, and this has made everybody so much worried that what is going to happen in the region. Kashmir, with the population of almost 10 million people, has become a biggest prison in the world, and almost everywhere in Kashmir there are curfews. Over 700,000 Indian troops are there who are trying to stop or trying to demolish the freedom movement, which is Kashmiris are fighting for their freedom. Can you imagine that every 7th or 8th civilian have got one armed person on their head? That is the average, or comparing, or the ratio between army in there and the civilians there. This is the largest army populated area in the world. Still, Prime Minister Modi, his government, his party, I call it RSS is actually his party, BJP is just the front face. They all have failed to stop or suppress the Kashmiris for their right of self-determination. They are ready to fight for it. They will fight for it, and they are not going to compromise on their right of self-determination. And this is what the message from the Kashmiris. And Kashmiris are looking for the support from around the world. Since last year, when Indian Prime Minister Modi have tried to change the laws in all over India in relation to Muslims and minorities, it has flared up the emotions of Muslims around India, Muslims around the world. It has been pointed out and concerned by the many human rights organizations in the world that the laws which Prime Minister Modi has introduced are absolutely inhumane and unjust, especially in terms of suppressing a one targeted minority, and that is Muslims. RAC is example of that, NRC, and then CAA, and then CAB. All these bills, all these amendments are only targeting minority of Muslims, which is not a small minority, almost 20% of the population. Over 250 million Muslims are there. If you consider all these facts, I would say only one thing, and that is that this is the real fascist face of Modi, real fascist Hitler Modi, real Hindutva ideology, real chunky ideology, real ideology which wants to forcefully convert all the Muslims to Hinduism, or they want to kill them. Can you believe this is the public statements of their leaders which they are giving in the media every day in 20th century? Yes, in today's age, they believe that they can force 250 million Muslims to change their religion. This is like unbelievable, but this is what they are trying to do, or this is what they are trying to achieve. Secondly, I would say what's happening since last 2 months in Punjab, Haryana, near Delhi, is an eye-opener for the world, is an eye-opener for the Indians, rest of the Hindus. But because this is again targeting a one minority, and that is Sikhs this time. Although they are farmers, but they are all most of them are Sikhs, because they have been targeted by the new amendments or reforms which are introduced by Prime Minister Modi. And these reforms have flared up the emotions of farmers, because they are feeling like they're gonna die, they're gonna be demolished, they're gonna be destructed with these laws, because these reforms gonna make farmer hard to even survive while they're already suffering. I mean, Indian farmer is maybe the poorest farmer in the world already, and since these new reforms have introduced, it has raised many questions in the entire region, and especially all over in India, but especially in the states where there are crops, and mostly wheat and other crops, and they feed almost over half of the India is being fed by the only two states crops, which is Punjab and Haryana. Now the Sikhs are on the streets, they're on the roads for days and days and months, and they are protesting for their right. They are forcing Modi to take all these amendments back. And now the situation is getting very critical every day. The situation is going out of the hands of the Modi. Modi needs to understand that this is not 16th or 17th century. This is 21st century, and they cannot do the fascist laws like that. Sadly, none of the majority Hindu political parties or the other parties, they are supporting Sikhs. Rather, the minority parties are supporting the Sikhs openly. Yes, the Chief Minister of Delhi have supported Mr. Kejriwal, and he's been almost house arrested. Funny thing, Chief Minister of the Delhi, and he's been almost house arrested. None of his orders have been obeyed. If you look into the entire situation, the India is isolated. The India is in trouble. Economically, India is going down the drain. Politically, they are going down the drain. And there are so many separatist movements which have been very strongly started there, and they are fighting for their right of self-determination. With all these movements, with all these things, Modi and his allies are feeling that they have no choice. Their political survival is at risk. They cannot survive politically at the moment with the current situation. So as you know, whenever there is a situation like that, they have only one thing to target, and that is Pakistan and anti-Pakistan sentiments. And their media is part and parcel for all the propaganda against Pakistan and against all the sentiments against Pakistan. Now every day, if you look into Indian media channels and Indian TVs, they're always making war rooms, war zone, how to attack Pakistan, how to go Lahore within 6 hours, within 3 minutes, within 5 minutes, within 12 hours, Lahore, Islamabad. I mean, their calculations, their aggression, and it's all mad. Honestly speaking, it's like mad. With all these things, on top of it, Prime Minister Modi have given some millions of dollars extra funding to the Indian Army for 15 days of war project or something like that. So it means that they just need an excuse. They just need any excuse to start some kind of adventure with Pakistan to divert the attention of the people in India who are very upset what exactly happening in India. And this is the way they are trying to attack Pakistan. They are trying to change the attention of the public and the attention of the world from India towards this conflict. What Pakistan is doing, Pakistan is ready for any kind of aggression. Pakistan is ready, fully prepared. Pakistan will retaliate. Pakistan have retaliated in February 2019. The way we retaliated and brought 2 planes down, we will retaliate even higher, even stronger than that. We are ready to give a befitting reply again. We are ready to save our motherland. We are committed to fight till last soldier, last bullet. We are committed for the freedom of Kashmiris. We are committed for the fight for the right of self-determination of the Kashmiris. But as Prime Minister Imran Khan said, as many writers have said, that you can start a war, but there's no way anybody can end a war. There is never an end to a war. So if India thinks that they will start a war for 1 week or 10 days or 15 days and demolish Pakistan, take over Pakistan, and Pakistan will say, oh, thank you very much, oh, we are your slaves now. That's not going to happen. We will retaliate. We will retaliate in every possible way. And as the world knows that it's the matter of 2 nuclear powers, and Pakistan's nuclear capability is the most modern in the world. And I mean it, and I know that. Pakistan's nuclear capability is nothing less than Americans or any most modern capability in the world. Pakistan doesn't want to use nuclear weapons, but if you won't leave